Hello, viewers on YouTube. How you doing? What show are we on?
The truth is viral.
The truth is viral, people. So take 2 penicillins and call me in the morning.
Places you don't talk about at parties. You want me on that wall. You need me on that wall.
Keep this frequency clear.
And now it's conspiracy. See, they've made that something that should not be even entertained for a minute. That powerful people might get together and have a plan. Doesn't happen. You're a kook. You're a conspiracy buff.
You're watching The Truth is Viral, the only news program on the internet trusted to deliver the truth since 2008. And now, here's your host, Mr. Bobby Powell.
Well, folks, you know what they say, the third time's a charm. How you doing? My name is Bob Powell. Welcome back to The Truth is Viral. And tonight we're going to take a look at 2 different subjects. First are the threats to disrupt the inauguration of Donald Trump and the rest of his presidency by anarcho-communist groups that are financed by George Soros. And then we're going to talk about the traitors in our midst, like this guy right. Mark McConnell. Yeah, buddy. He's a bad guy. You know, we're going to talk about these informants that were embedded at the Bundy Ranch and at Malheur National Wildlife Refuge in Oregon, where the Bundy family was found not guilty for their role in the peaceful occupation of the refuge last September. And you know, many of these informants have been outed in trial testimony and reports in both the mainstream and alternative media. But a federal judge in Oregon, yeah, let's put her up there. This federal judge in Oregon has given Gary Hunt, a journalist that's writing on, has been writing on Patriot stuff for years and years and years, 24 hours, and that was like 2 days ago, to take down all the information that he published on his blog. So over at Oath Keepers, a fellow by the name of Navy Jack. Well, let's go with Daily Caller first. Okay, here we go. There we go. They're talking about inauguration protesters' plans to destroy property and disrupt the balls that are being held in Washington, D.C. to celebrate Donald Trump's inauguration. These inauguration protesters are planning on an anti-capitalist march, road blockades, and disrupting the inaugural balls. The protest will likely include property destruction. That's what a source with intimate knowledge of the protest told the Daily Caller last Friday. Now, those of us that have been watching the rise of these groups over the past year or so remember how the DNC and John Podesta emails that were leaked by WikiLeaks, along with gripping undercover video by James O'Keefe of Project Veritas, proved that George Soros had donated almost $1 billion to Black Lives Matter and other violent terrorist groups in the United States. Now, that's an amount that far exceeds the the paltry $25 million that he donated to the spectacularly failed campaign of Hillary Clinton. Now, if Soros can't buy a candidate that he can control, his only option is to prevent the one that he can't control, or if Soros can't buy a candidate he can control, then his only option is to disrupt the governance of a candidate that he can't control, that candidate being Donald Trump. And he's doing everything that he can to make sure that the inauguration day is a huge failure for Donald Trump, and trying to prevent him from assuming the presidency. And if you read their plans, they post them on the internet, folks. Then even if they fail to disrupt the inauguration, they're going to continue as long as Donald Trump is president. Now, Navy Jack, a writer for Oath Keepers, has identified more George Soros-financed groups that are planning to disrupt the inauguration, and one particularly dangerous group is calling itself Refuse Fascism, and it published its action plan on the internet. According to them, now is the time to act. And this, the group writes, must be done before the regime officially takes power, isolates and crushes opposition, and moves forcefully to implement its fascist program. The aim must be nothing less than to create such a profound political crisis before the intended inauguration that the fascist regime is actually not able to take the reins of government. Now, one particularly disturbing development about the inauguration has been published in the mainstream media. Major General Errol Schwartz, the commander of the District of Columbia's National Guard unit, was apparently fired by the Obama administration effective the moment that Donald Trump takes office. Now, some mainstream media outlets have tried to pin the blame for his unprecedented ouster on Donald Trump. The only problem with that scenario is that as of this moment, Donald Trump is not president and cannot order the military to do a blessed thing until he actually becomes commander-in-chief. Schwartz told the Washington Post that my troops will be on the street, 5,000 of them, and I'll see them off, but I won't be able to welcome them back to the armory. He said that he would never plan to leave a mission in the middle of a battle, and that's exactly what's happened. Not by his own free will, but Barack Obama, for whatever reason, tanked him, canned him, fired him. So why do you suppose that he would do that? It sounds kind of fishy. Because under the best circumstances, the changing of the guard of a unit's commanding officer is bound to create a little confusion. But changing commanders while troops are still in the field conducting operations is fraught with danger. I have no hard intelligence to prove this theory, but it's very possible that the Obama administration tried to get General Schwartz to do something that did not sit well with his conscience, perhaps something that was maybe treasonous. Now, if you'll remember, during his term as president, Barack Obama has fired hundreds of flag and general officers because they refused to pass his litmus test. That litmus test being whether or not they would fire on American citizens. One of the generals that Obama fired was four-star Marine Corps General James Mattis, Donald Trump's choice for the new Secretary of Defense. If I know James Mattis and all, and I think I do, right about now he's looking for a little payback. Now, declared or not, my friends, we are already at war. Ephesians 6:12 states that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. But folks, I'm here to tell you that this war is being fought on multiple fronts, from that freak show Rosie O'Donnell's call for martial law to prevent Trump's inauguration, to the mainstream media, which is desperate to find dirt on Trump. Communist Hollywood celebrities are going apeshit with butthurt on the internet and on TV, and charges of fake news are flying around like fur in a cat fight. The biggest fake news story since the election broke last week with allegations by CNN and the ultra-left blog BuzzFeed saying that Donald Trump was being blackmailed by the Russians after hiring Russian prostitutes to perform a disgusting sexual act involving urine on a bed once slept in by Barack and Michelle Obama. In this leaked video, CNN anchor James Tapper is seen getting all worked up by these salacious charges. I'm sorry, but I just had to put that out there. I'm gonna get that jerk off my screen too. I'm gonna talk about him later. Let's see. What's not funny about this story, though, about the Russian hookers dubbed the Golden Showers Gate by Twitter, is that this dossier that was passed on by the intelligence agencies to a classified briefing that included President Obama and President-elect Trump. It was passed on to the FBI by none other than Arizona Senator John Songbird McCain, the same neocon traitor that's been helping Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama arm ISIS terrorists in Syria. Now, folks, before I go any further, I want to explain something to you. When people blame the CIA or the FBI for plotting schemes, whether they're against Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton or anybody else for that matter, they don't realize that these agencies are not monolithic. At this very moment, patriotic men and women all throughout the government, civil and military, are engaged in a power struggle against those that have sold their souls to the globalists for the very future of this country. Even the LA Times has published reports describing how Pentagon-backed rebels in Syria are engaged in combat with rebels financed and trained by the CIA. The entire Arab Spring had very little to do with freedom and from Arab dictators. From Tunisia to Egypt to Libya and now Syria, the Obama administration has been supporting the Muslim Brotherhood political wing along with their military wing known as ISIS and Al-Qaeda, as they've overthrown one Arab leader after another. The ultimate goal of this strategy is to surround Israel with radical Islamist regimes to prepare for what the book of Ezekiel calls the war of Gog and Magog. Now, this strategy was first revealed by Luciferian Mason DC. I trolled the Reverend Al Sharpton by challenging him to demand that statue be taken down in the aftermath of the Charleston Church massacre that led to the destruction and removal of Confederate memorials across the South, a movement led by Sharp's National Action Network and financed by billionaire George Soros. Anyway, in 18 The Third World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences caused by the agentur of the Illuminati between the political Zionists and the leaders of the Islamic world. That war must be conducted in such a way that Islam, the Muslim Arabic world, and political Zionism, which is the state of Israel, mutually destroy one another. Meanwhile, the other nations, once more divided on this issue, will be constrained to fight to the point of complete physical, moral, spiritual, and economical exhaustion. We shall unleash the nihilists and the atheists. We shall provoke a formidable social cataclysm which in all its horror will show clearly to the nations the effect of absolute atheism, origin of savagery, and of the most bloody turmoil. Then everywhere the citizens, obliged to defend themselves against the world minority of revolutionaries, will exterminate those destroyers of civilization, and the multitude, disillusioned with Christianity, whose deistic spirits will from that moment be without compass or direction, anxious for an ideal, but without knowing where to render its adoration, will receive the true light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer, finally brought out into the public view. This manifestation will result from the general reactionary movement which follows the destruction of Christianity and atheism, both conquered and exterminated at the same time. Okay, now folks, I had a first-hand interaction with some of these communist anarchist terrorists. I'm calling them anarcho-communists for lack of a better term. And these are the nihilists that were spoken of by Pike. I saw them at the Republican National Convention in Cleveland, and now I'm going to show you some exclusive video and photographs that I shot myself. I want you to pay special attention to the young lady in the olive drab t-shirt with the over-the-shoulder black backpack in the beginning of this first clip. I have identified her as one of the leaders.
Helicopters have been deployed.
Okay, now I have no idea what communist slogan they were chanting, but there is no mistaking this next chant, which was in English. Brick by brick, wall by wall, we will make the system fall. That's what they're saying. Now, you can call me a literalist, but I have no reason to disbelieve that they are deadly serious. They are self-proclaimed enemies of the United States of America, and since I have sworn an oath to protect this nation against all enemies, foreign and domestic, they are my enemies as well as yours, I hope. As I tried to engage them to find out who they were, the woman that I pointed out earlier ran up from the back of the formation to give them their marching orders. Watch this.
We're not neo-Nazis. We hate neo-Nazis.
Are you really?
We really hate neo-Nazis.
Do you?
We confronted a group of them yesterday.
Can you classify what your ideology would be for me then?
Got it.
There she is.
Don't stop, it's slow.
How would you classify your ideology?
Are we stopping or no?
No, we're not stopping. Very slow.
Let's keep going, folks. Anticapitalista. 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 Anticapitalista.
One reporter for InfoWars had about as much luck as I did trying to ascertain the identities of some of these masked terrorists, but the woman who was organizing their protest is clearly seen in this footage courtesy of InfoWars. Check this out. Let's try that again. It just stopped for some reason. This is actually my footage. InfoWars is coming up in just a second. This thing's ignoring the tabs that I set earlier. Yeah, I like to get up in the thick of things, folks. Yes, sir, I do. I take appropriate actions like wearing a helmet. Where you never know what's going to happen.
Police are calling for more.
But I'm not afraid to get down into where the metal meets the meat.
For the moment, they can call in thousands of reserves if they need to. This town is literally filled with police officers.
I'm Margaret Hell reporting for Infowars.com. I'm in downtown Cleveland taking a look at the mass protest underway. I want to talk to these guys over here, find out what they're doing here. Okay.
Just don't.
Do you guys want to talk to
Get out of here with your crap. Just don't.
Why are you guys here?
I'm not here with them. I'm not here with anybody. Go.
Look at this. Hey, what are you guys doing here?
Get the fuck out of here. I'm not talking.
We've got profanity. That's what we've got.
Just fucking say that. Get out of here. I'm not
This is a
talking.
public space.
It's a public space.
That sounds like a no.
There are kids here and they're cussing, profanity.
I'm not offended by anybody. I said get the fuck out of here, man.
Hey, bro, this is a public space. I'm not getting the fuck out of here.
I'm not talking to you then, man.
I'm talking to you.
No, they don't want to talk to you.
I don't give a shit if they want to talk.
Out of here.
No.
Seriously, they just said they didn't want to talk.
We just want to know who they are and who they're with.
There's no, just don't. Hey, look at you. Hey, look, all I'm trying to do is that, like, people, this place is...
We just want to know who they're with. That's all. Like what their platform
They don't
is.
want to talk to you.
Because they have masks on. It's fucked up. Like,
No, we don't. I'm interested in the flag, frankly. You know, kid, I don't think they want to talk to us, but honestly, listening to their grievances, I'm trying to figure out who they are, what they're with. Very hostile, very profane group.
Hey, now, another InfoWars reporter had a little more luck with one of their leaders who confirmed that he was, in fact, a communist dedicated to overthrowing our republic.
So what do you support
I do
then?
hope that he did. Well, dude, I mean,
Communist, man.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, so why do you think communism is going to be a good solution for the United States?
It's a good solution for the world. It's the only solution.
Really?
I mean, what is the solution to war, global warming, and everything else?
Communists seem to like war.
I don't like war. Class war, maybe.
Yeah, they seem to like to purge population.
Yeah, who are you
talking about?
talking about?
Who am I talking about?
Talking about Stalin.
Stalin.
Like, we didn't like
Mao.
Stalin either. We didn't
I
like
know.
Mao either.
I know. That's the thing that with the communists. There's always, well, you know, this wasn't a good communist.
Okay, now investigative reporter James O'Keefe from Project Veritas, the man who videotaped Democratic officials admitting that they were funding these groups to disrupt Trump rallies during the campaign, has just released a new bombshell video of several activists belonging to the group Disrupt J20 planning to attack one of the inaugural balls with butyric acid. That's a stink bomb, folks.
If you had a freaking pint of butyric acid, I don't care how big the building is, it's closing. It's staying closed for a while.
And this stuff is like, it's very efficient. It's very, very smelly. It lasts a long time, and a little of it goes a long way.
You repeated the original plan we could use. You can pour that same stuff, and then I can break the cans with a plunger, some stiff rubber bands, and a safety pin thing. So all you got to do is pull the pin and press the plunger, and the whole can discharges.
This is the way we have to brainstorm and think, what can we do that will accomplish the mission.
O'Keefe said on Twitter that he had turned the raw videotapes over to the Washington, D.C. Police Department, the FBI, and Homeland Security. Folks, I see a felony conspiracy taking place in that video, a terrorist attack plan upon innocent civilians, and it must not be allowed to take place. Every one of those people needs to be arrested immediately and made an example of. Now, I'm not a prophet by any stretch of the imagination, but folks, it doesn't take one to see that we are indeed at war. And unfortunately, we are at war with our fellow Americans, some of whom are totally devoid of reason. They're spoiled children that throw temper tantrums if they don't get their way, in addition to the globalist demonic bastards that are bound and determined to make Pike's vision of World War III come true. No front on this war is more personal for me than the one that's being conducted against American patriots by factions within the federal government. Friends of mine have been in prison for nearly a year without bail, simply for daring to stand up to the federal government and say that's far enough. One has to look no further than the disgusting persecution of the Bundys for their actions at the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge and at their own home in Bunkerville, Nevada. The first set of defendants in Oregon, including the Bundys, were acquitted by a jury of their peers, and more defendants are set to go on trial in Oregon in February. Now, charges against my friend and fellow journalist Pete Santilli were dropped the day that the trial began, day before the trial began actually, but he's still being held so he can answer similar charges for the standoff at the Bundy Ranch in 2014. And that trial is scheduled to begin on February 6th, and I intend to be there to cover it. And when we come back after this short commercial break, I'm going to talk about the informants that have infiltrated the Patriot movement. And I'm also going to take your questions off of the live chat and see what you guys have got to say. So I will be right back.
I'm Pete Santilli, and you're watching The Truth is Viral.
Do not click away. We'll be back with more in just a moment.
Hey, that was a quick break, wasn't it? If you're watching it live, because I have to insert the commercials after the show is over. So you watch live, no commercials. Isn't that great? Okay, now before we get to the meat of this next segment, the treacherous informants that have been embedded in the Patriot movement, I need to make an announcement. My dear friend and fellow broadcaster Peter T. Santilli has been held in federal custody without bond since January 26th of 2016, the day that everybody was arrested and Lavoy Finicum was killed. He's been in custody as a political prisoner for nearly an entire year, as have more than a dozen others. Even after the government dropped the charges against him in Oregon, he was not given the opportunity to post bail. He was transferred to rot in a federal detention center in Pahrump, Nevada. All his requests for bail have been denied. That's the most egregious abuse of power that I've ever seen, folks. Murderers get bail. Pete did nothing but live stream events as they happen. That's what news people do. Now, this is a clear attempt by the government to intimidate other reporters who would dare broadcast anything that might get in the way of their agenda, and I'm here to tell you that it will not succeed. The United States government spent millions of dollars to turn Marines like me and Pete Santilli into the kind of men that will just not give up, ever. Well, now they're going to get their money's worth. I intend on covering the Bundy trial in Nevada when it begins on February 6th, and that's going to cost me money that I don't have, to be perfectly honest. I maxed out my credit and took out a $3,000 loan so that I could cover the trial in Oregon and the Sioux Pipeline protest at the Standing Rock Sioux Reservation on my way back home, and I'm tapped out. The only way that I will be able to get to Nevada is with your help. So if you believe in the rights of journalists to broadcast live news, if you believe in Pete Santilli, if you believe in the innocence of the Bundys, if you believe in me, then now's your time to step up and donate whatever you can afford towards this most important mission. I stood up to Assistant District Attorney Peter Neal in Florida. He had hidden exculpatory evidence that would have proven that the boy he'd charged and convicted of attempted rape and attempted murder was actually innocent. He'd done that, gone ahead with the prosecution of an innocent child because he had made a mistake and he didn't want to fess up to it. Well, by the time I was done reporting what I and the defense team had uncovered, the story had received national attention on the Miami Herald, Inside Edition, the Geraldo Show. They even made a TV movie out of it for the Lifetime Network. Well, after that, the boy was freed with the apologies of the court, and the prosecutor was fired and eventually disbarred. Chalk up one for the good guys. Now, after the state of Michigan nullified the indefinite detention provisions of the National Defense Authorization Act, I stood up to my own congressman, Republican Representative Dr. Dan Benishek, because he continued to vote for the NDAA, which allows the U.S. military to arrest any citizen without a charge, hold them indefinitely without a trial, and even send them to foreign countries where they would undoubtedly be tortured. I refused to take his silence as an answer. I even chased him to Washington, D.C. when promised interviews never materialized, and that fat bastard hid in his office rather than face my absolutely legitimate questions. I think that he finally got the message that I was not going to let it go, because a couple of weeks later, after 3 years of me badgering him, Congressman Benishek abruptly resigned his position in the middle of the campaign. Like that. Benishek will not seek re-election. I did that. 2 for the good guys. All I need to get Operation Free Pete rolling is a little help from dedicated patriots like you. So if you have $5, $10, $500 that you can donate to the cause of freedom, now is the time that it's needed the most. If all you can afford is a single dollar, we need it. Even small donations add up if there are enough of them. If all you need to do is click the link below and go to bobpowell.blogspot.com, hit that PayPal button to donate whatever won't put you out. You know, don't go into debt or anything. Don't go borrowing money. Just whatever money you've got burning a hole in your pocket, I would appreciate it if you put it towards this cause. If you don't have a credit card or are leery of conducting financial transactions on the internet, you can always mail a check or money order or even cash to Bobby Powell, care of The Truth is Viral, at Post Office Box 91, Alpena, Michigan 49707. God bless you all for keeping helping in any way that you can. Even if all you can do is share this information with others, they might have the ability to contribute financially, and all of you folks can keep us in your prayers. Okay, now on to the informants. This guy, Mark McConnell, after warning fellow patriots in Arizona not to associate with this guy, I was asked in a thread the other day, why do you care if somebody's a snitch? Or why do you care if we associate with them? And I replied like this. A polite question deserves a polite reply. My motto, my mission, if you must, is to save souls and save lives and win souls for Jesus Christ. Some think that I don't act much like a Christian. They ask me, what would Jesus do? Well, I seem to remember that Christ once fashioned a whip indicating forethought, and then proceeded to flip over tables and beat the shit out of the money changers that were defiling his father's temple, and saying a few old world epithets while he was doing it too, calling Pharisees and Sadducees vipers and whatnot. That's the kind of language that would get you killed back in that day, and eventually did. Good thing he could rise from the dead. Now, I blame the Marine Corps for my mouth, folks. I'm sorry. I try to keep it under control, but it doesn't always work that way. Now, information is power, literally. It's the power to save lives. And the best way that I can help people is to make sure that they get the straight scoop in a country where the MSM lies on the daily, and agent provocateurs like this guy, Mark McConnell, are leading otherwise well-meaning patriots into sketchy situations just so that they can vilify an entire movement. Now, Terry Linnell, the other FBI informant that I exposed, told me on the record in a video below, it'll be down in the description too, that the FBI was paying her to spy on Oath Keeper meetings. Oath Keepers. That's an organization that's almost entirely comprised of former military, current and retired law enforcement, firefighters, and other first responders. Don't you see how dangerous that is, to have spies in our midst? Pick up a history book sometime. Look up the KGB, the Gestapo, or the East German Stasi. Nobody knew who to trust. They were fearful that anything that they said might be reported back to the state, and they lived in fear. I will not allow my children to grow up in a country where a branch of law enforcement spies on its fellows as they're off duty and just talking about ways to keep the Republic safe and to continue to support and defend the Constitution as they've always done, as they've all sworn an oath to do. I'm not going to allow them to grow up in a country where people who still revere the Constitution and the rule of law are put up in fear of their lives, or as in the case of Lavoy Finnegan, to lose their lives. If, and I say again, if the shit hits the fan and we have to go into battle, don't you think it's a good idea that you can trust the man or the woman that's on your right or your left with your life? I do, and so does anybody that's ever taken an oath and served their country. I will not go into battle with anyone that has not proven their worth to me. I think that asking for a name is a small step in that direction. I'm doing you all a favor here. I'm trying to save your lives. I and several others have proven that Mark McConnell cannot be trusted. He's a liar, a snitch, and a miserable excuse for a human being. As stated previously, associate with him at your own peril. I first outed McConnell the very night that Lavoy Finnegan was murdered by the Oregon State Patrol and the FBI's hostage rescue team at a dead man's roadblock that violated policies for both agencies. Again, I'm not a prophet, but after 30 years of gathering news, I know a liar when I hear one. My assertions were proven when testimony revealed at the Oregon trial that an Oregon State trooper revealed that McConnell was indeed an informant. Let's see what KOIN News has to say about it.
Today, we finally did learn that a man named Mark McConnell, who was the man driving the Jeep with Ammon Bundy inside before he got arrested, was in fact a government informant.
Now, since McConnell was exposed, journalist Gary Hunt has been hunting down and exposing other informants using trial transcripts, FBI confidential human source reports, and other information that he obtained from discovery evidence that was provided to the defense. In the past few days, Judge Brown has ordered Gary Hunt, the man who's been documenting all of these traitors, if you will, she's ordered him to take his post down. That 24-hour order was like 48 hours ago, and he still hasn't taken them down. He's been using trial transcripts and those reports to identify these people, and Judge Brown ordered him to take those posts down, but he refused, even doubling down by putting up PDFs of his meticulously detailed research showing what he knows about more than half a dozen informants. He put that up on his website for anybody to download, and I'm putting the link in the description below. Now, if anything should happen to Gary or the information that he posted on his website, as a journalist protected by the First Amendment, I will repost it myself in defiance of Judge Brown's order. I've never seen the raw documentation that Hunt used to compile his reports, and at the moment I don't want to. I'm going to come this close to violating that judge's order and walk up to the line, but I'm not going to step over it. As a journalist, I've got a responsibility and the right to publish what I've seen. I may not have seen the raw data, but I can certainly report on the information that's already been published on the internet by Gary Hunt. The genie is out of the bottle, Judge Brown. Pandora's box has been opened, and the horse is out of the barn. There's not a thing on earth that you can do, nothing you can threaten me with. So I'd suggest that you and the rest of the federal government back off a journalist before you end up like former Assistant State Attorney Peter Neal and Congressman Dan Benishek as a trophy on my wall. Now, I'd like to say something as we get ready to close out the show. You know, when my wife died last year, The Truth is Viral contributing editor Tim Brown really stepped up by sharing the work that he publishes at his websites on TTIV. I'd like to take this opportunity to publicly thank him and TTIV religion editor David Rice for being such a blessing to me and our stated mission of saving lives and winning souls for Jesus Christ. These two men are largely responsible for keeping The Truth is Viral's Facebook page active while I was mourning the loss of the woman that had shared my life for almost 30 years. I'm extremely grateful, guys. Thank you ever so much. So don't forget, like The Truth is Viral on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at The Truth is Viral, go to Google Plus and add Bobby Powell to your Google Plus circles, and if you have the opportunity and the means to do so, please go to bobpowell.blogspot.com and hit that PayPal button and leave me whatever you can afford to live without, so that I can go to Nevada and continue my mission, Operation Free Pete, saving lives and winning souls for Jesus Christ. Thank you for watching The Truth is Viral. My name is Bob Powell. This is Orion. Say hello, Orion. Oh, things have got... There we go. Got to get rid of that autofocus. As always, God bless, Semper Fi, and hoorah. Have a good night, folks. I will see you on the flip.
Thank you for watching The Truth is Viral with your host, Bobby Powell. Make sure to follow The Apocalypse on Twitter at The Truth is Viral. Like The Truth is Viral on Facebook, and if you can, please remember to donate to the cause via PayPal at www.bobpowell.blogspot.com.
Back runner.